Okay, John F. Kennedy once said in a speech in 1961, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." So today I would like to talk to you about the challenges Christians and conservatives face in a digital culture. For those of you who may be wondering exactly what a digital culture is, Clayton Beardall wrote a web article about it in which he partially states, quote, "A digital culture is a blanket concept that describes the idea that technology and the internet significantly shape the way we interact, behave, think, and communicate as human beings in a social setting." I have been observing for some time now the mistreatment of Christians by our mainstream and social media outlets. Outlets that so many of us rely on for our day-to-day information locally and around the world. But what if I told you that you were not getting the whole truth from your most trusted sites? You might wonder, how can that be? Journalism is supposed to have a code of ethics, be based on real events and supported by facts. Journalists report those facts. Anything contrary would be deceitful and misleading, and I would agree. For a long time I thought the same thing, yet I kept noticing more and more attacks on conservatives and Christians alike, so I started to research, and what I found was disturbing. Because this is exactly what they are doing, intentionally misleading people about Christians and conservatives. There was a study done in 2011 by the National Religious Broadcasters and the American Center for Law and Justice, discussing to what extent media giants are willing to go. In the article by Jeremy Krin, the study found that some of the major media tech companies have outright banned Christian content, and most sites have speech policies more restrictive than the free speech rights guaranteed in the U.S. Constitution. In 2016, Matt Barber reported on ChristianPost.com that Twitter announced it has assembled a new Trust and Safety Council to ensure that people feel safe expressing themselves on Twitter. Safe from what, you might ask? Safe from Christians and conservatives. And I could go on. But lastly, in a 2017 article at pjmedia.com, Tyler O'Neill reported regarding the mainstream media, conservative Christians dodged a bullet when Hillary Clinton lost the presidential election in 2016. But the media kept up constant attacks against them, sometimes subtle, sometimes blatant, playing into prejudices that conservative Christians are hateful and or stupid. He goes on in his article to point out specific incidences by ABC, NBC, CNN, and others. They've attacked individuals like Justice Kavanaugh and groups they do not want to see in key positions. If you wonder how we as a society got to be in such a sad state of a country, let me remind you of my opening line from JFK about good men doing nothing. In this slide, you can see the clear correlation between the mainstream media and the last administration. So ask yourself, if you honestly believe the media can be objective with such close ties to top political figures. Yet good men and women need not feel so overwhelmed about all that is happening. The Lord tells us to pray with specificity. Word. Psalm chapter 31:3. Since you are my rock and my fortress, for the sake of your name, lead and guide me. And verse 18. Let their lying lips be silenced, for with pride and contempt they speak arrogantly against the righteous. Prayer, however, is not enough. More and more are speaking out against these injustices, and we need to let them know they are not alone in the fight. We can and should exercise our First Amendment rights. So, will we be like the third servant with his talent in Matthew chapter 25? Or will we do as Jesus says and let our light shine? let us be reminded of Ephesians 6:12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God. I will leave you with these words from 33-year veteran General Michael Flynn as you consider what role you can play, and that you may know, I have myself again, going the wrong way too. There we are. Anyway, as you consider what role you can play, and that you may know that the Great Awakening has already begun.
And we have an army, okay, as a soldier and as a general, as a retired general. We have an army of digital soldiers. What we are now, what we call, I call them, because this was an insurgency, folks. This was run like an insurgency. This was irregular warfare at its finest in politics. And that story will continue to be told here. But we have what we call citizen journalists